You are now listening to the Highly Evolved Podcast with your host, Safan. Transmission will commence momentarily.
How you guys doing? Thank you for joining me on the Highly Evolved Podcast. I'm your host, Safan. You can find me on Twitter and gab.ai. But before we go, if you're a social justice warrior, SJW, liberal, socialist, Marxist, please exit the channel. This channel is not made for you. And on that note, let's begin. On this episode, I want to discuss an article that I just read on the Daily Caller about a California woman coming out claiming that the teachers union are pushing leftist hard agendas like abortion when they shouldn't be pushing this at all, and they're not telling the parents, right? Not telling the parents, and exploiting the teachers, right? And you think they're supposed to tell the parent about this? If you were a parent, how would you react to this if the union are doing some shady things behind your back without you knowing? But in this article, it stated this woman come out of the shadow. I don't want to say out of the shadow. It sounds kind of weird. But speaking of whistleblowing, but I'll link the article in the description below if you want to check it out. But I just want to play this video for you guys to let you hear from her own voice. And I'm not gonna play the entire video, just only the sound because I don't want to get striked by a copyright. But let me play the audio for you guys, all right?
As a California teacher, these left-leaning groups are pushing their agendas on our kids. Tell us what's happening in California.
Right. Well, they're not just left-leaning. They are far hard left groups. And what's going on right now in California specifically is we passed a law requiring some very offensive sex ed. You've had another guest on who's told you a little bit about that sex ed, forcing teachers to tell little children that at age 12, they have the right to go get an abortion without their parents' knowledge or permission. And the schools will help them get there and help them fund it.
How is this getting into our schools? Who's funding this?
Who is pushing this is the teachers unions, and what's shocking is teachers have no idea. People think teachers are these far left people pushing this stuff. That is a lie. Most teachers are good, loving people, and many of them are against abortion and are against sexualizing little children, but we are being used by very powerful organizations. The teachers unions collect about $5 billion a year tax-free from teachers, and they use that money to push their personal social, sexual, and political agenda into our schools.
If you are a Christian pro-life teacher in your state, in the state of California, do you still have to join the union and your dues go to these organizations?
Well, I am a Christian pro-life teacher, and for 28 years, I was forced to fund the teachers union, as was my husband for 39 years, forced to fund them. But last year, on June 27th, 2018, we won a United States Supreme Court case. So now all teachers across the country, in fact, all government employees, are now free to pay unions nothing. We're still unionized. We're still forced to accept their representation. They're still bullying us and steamrollering us, but we don't have to pay them any longer, and I hope and pray that teachers will stand together and stop paying them, and I'm hoping we can eventually get them out of our schools.
Do the teachers in California, are they aware that they can't opt out?
A few are aware, most are not. The unions are very deceptive. They outright lie to teachers. They got many of them to sign cards that have trapped them into the unions before that case came down. So we have another lawsuit out here fighting that. And my whole agenda in life right now is to get out and educate teachers on the truth so that they can have liberty, so they can choose for themselves what they want to do.
Rebecca Friedrichs, if you want to read that op-ed, it's very interesting.
There you go, guys. This is coming from a teacher, right? I'll link the article below in the description. I'll link the article in the description below. Excuse me. She just explained for you how the union operates, right? Everybody think the union is a utopia of thing, right? But union are bullies. You don't get equal say in they want to say you get equal representation, but you don't get equal representation. You're forced to pay this union dues that doesn't align with your views at all, right? But recently, she just explained to you guys they just won a case that you don't have to pay union dues, right? And and they're still pushing this thing against you. That's the thing with union, right? Union, when you enter a union, right, you only have one voice. I mean, you can't decide what to do on your own, right? You have to follow their orders, their rules. Union, to me, is a type of communism. It's a type of socialism. That's what it is. Union is a socialism. Everybody's in a collective order, right? Not knowing that union could be destructive as well. Not everything. Union is never good. Doesn't always represent a good thing. There's certain kind of unions where it's good and certain kinds is bad. Unfortunately, the teachers union is a bad thing because of over the years it's been corrupt the whole time. This is why teachers aren't performing as well, especially the teachers union. Teachers aren't performing as well as they should because everybody's getting paid the same, and in the eye of a teacher's perspective, like if they're getting paid the same, they don't see any incentive to work any better than any other teacher out there. It's like the DMV. It's like government bureaucracy. That's what it is. If everybody getting paid the same wages, they don't have any incentive to improve upon themselves to give better education. This is why public school is so bad right now because of the teachers union. All right. This is why there's all these protests right now. The pay is so low for the teachers union because teachers doesn't have incentive. Teacher cannot get paid more than the other. That's the thing. That's the thing with unions, right? So basically, if teachers getting paid the same, that mean the education is a lower grade, right? And not only that, the teachers have their own agenda. She explained it in the video. They have their own agenda. They're far left leaning, right? Meaning that if they have a idea principle that's not aligned with you, you got no say in it. You have to follow their union, right? And then to make things worse, they're corrupt. They're doing all these agendas driven program that they didn't disclose it to the parent. If you were a parent, how would you react if they're teaching sex ed to your kids without you knowing, telling all these informations like you could get an abortion and then without advising or notifying the parent? Like, you as a parent should already know what your kids are being taught in school, especially from a public school. Private school is a whole different matter, but for a public school, and they have this agenda-driven narrative, is far left-leaning right now because of the people who's in charge of the union. It's not all the teachers, like she said in the video. It's not all teachers. Not all teachers are left-leaning, but because of the union rules and guidelines, they're restricted from doing anything they want to do. Right? Union used to be for the people, protect their job. Yet again, they have this negative adverse. And she explained the video right now. She wants to let everybody know that you don't have to pay the union dues, right? And that's what's like the union dues. A lot of people that I know really hate union dues because they're taking money out of their paycheck to pay something that they don't want to get involved in, right? And it's just ridiculous. That's my opinion. And now they're promoting abortion. They got no rights to doing this thing. Why is it in their narrative and best interest to educate kids about sexual education? That should be left off to the parent to be teaching these kind of stuff, all right? And they're gonna say, oh, because some parents are not there and all the time. That's phony baloney, right? We are not entitled to tell school to teach kids how or what kind of sexual representation they are, right? That's not intuitive. Does not fit the criteria of educating. It's brainwashing kids. There's no science. It's not science based, all right? Abortion, to have to think about whether you should get it or should not get it. That's not science based. That's opinionated, all right? It's not necessary to get an abortion. Abortion is based on the person's decisions, and that's not education. That's a brainwashing narrative. That's what it is. It's far left leaning. All right, it's ridiculous, and some people might argue with me, like, you're just talking out of my butt. I'm like, man, am I entitled to my opinion? This is how I feel. This is what I think. You might say that I'm stupid and ranting, all right? But I told you before, if you don't like, you could leave. Get out of my channel. You don't have to leave a comment or anything like that. Just leave. I told you before. You probably can get offended for what I gotta say, but this is what I believe. All right. And this video is not listed. You can't find it. You have to go to Daily Caller. So I'll link the article for you on the bottom if you want to check it out. But yeah, I'm totally against union. I think it's communism, socialism, right? And it's not. They wanted to think it work in the favor of the people. It does. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. You know, there's all these dispute and all this stuff. So basically, if you work harder than another person, you're unable to get a raise. That's what's so bad about unions. Like raises are determined by contract negotiation. So you get paid the same wage as a guy who worked less hard as you or put less effort than you are. That's not fair. That's ridiculous. And they want to say everyone is equal. There's nothing fair about equality. That's why, in my opinion, there's no such thing as equality. That's what I think. In natures, there's natural selection. Natural selection is not equal. All right. If you want equality, equality is basically defying God's order. That's what it is. Equality is fighting God's order, because in the natural world, there's no such thing of equality. Equal human rights. All right. In America, we identified American rights, not human rights. All right. Human don't have a right. You go to other country. Do other country treats human as equal as anyone else? No. Why do we have to follow by this rules? Right? It doesn't make any sense. You know, there's no such thing as human rights. Human rights is a concept of the UN. The UN is a socialistic idea. Union is a United Nations. All right? These are globalist agendas. The UN is terrible. They're formerly known as the League of Nations until they changed the name. All right? During the Woodrow administration or whatever the heck it is. There's another poisonous Democrat. But let me know if you agree. You know, do you like the article? Do you think this lady is telling, you know, actual facts? You think she's doing a good thing? Let me know if you agree. But on that note, I'm not monetized, so you can support. If you want to support me, you can hit subscribe. Follow me on social media. Because I'm not monetized, that means I'm not bounded by anybody. So I'm unscripted, unrehearsed, and unedited. And I don't know, guys. Let me know. Leave a comment below. I'll leave the article below. And as always, thank you for listening to the Highly Evolved Podcast. I'm your host, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.